How to Get Away with Murder,
New Amsterdam,
The Mentalist,
Reverie. Shawn, why are we naming all of these hit shows?
Because our guest today is part of why these shows are so successful or were successful. Of course, a Black woman did that.
Of course, a Black woman did that. That's why we do this podcast. To celebrate these amazing women. Yes, she did. And that is just one of the reasons that we are so excited for this episode today. The other is because we have another co-host from Black Girls Film Camp, which is just our favorite organization here at Sista Brunch. But the even more special reason is that I love all the alum from the BGFC family. Y'all know I do, but this one is a little bit closer to my heart. Today we are joined by Black Girls Film Camp alum and my niece, Jaida Cox.
Hi, I'm Jaida Cox. I am a 15-year-old filmmaker from Silver Spring, Maryland, and I was blessed to be a part of the 2023 cohort for Black Girls Film Camp and then served as an alumni coach for 2024. And I am really excited to be here.
We're excited to have you.
Yay. So, Jaida, can you tell us a little bit more about Black Girls Film Camp and the short film you made while you were part of the BGFC experience?
Yes, so Black Girls Film Camp is a space cultivated for Black girls, of course, who are creative and want to share their stories through film. And so in 2023, I got to be a part of that cohort, and I directed my short film Full Circle. So that was a story based on my personal life and certain things that I was dealing with before, and was a story that I felt like I wanted to share. And similar to all of the other girls in the camp, I used some of my hardships to make sure that other girls didn't feel alone when watching my film. So I love the camp. It's so amazing, and it's given me a community even outside of my cohort. I've gotten to be an alumni coach. So I coached Alexandra Bonner, who was the director of The Gift and the Curse. And so I'm excited to continue to be a part of that community.
We are so excited that you're part of that community, that you're joining us today. We got to talk to the girl that you coached, Alexandra, at the Essence Film Festival, and she's amazing. You should follow her. You should follow BGFC on IG as well as Jaida and Alexandra. Alexandra's an amazing cinematographer too. Doesn't she take beautiful pictures?
She's amazing.
She's amazing. Okay, so Jaida, that was awesome. Now, can you please welcome our listeners and welcome our guest today?
Yes. So, welcome back to Season 6 of Sista Brunch, the podcast about Black women and gender-expensive people thriving in entertainment and media. I'm joined by the show creator, producer, host, and my aunt Fanshen Cox, and the Season 6 co-host, Shawn Pipkin-West.
Hey, Pip. Oh, not everybody can call her that, but I just...
And I'm now proud to introduce today's guest. Not only did she write for the shows we shared at the top of this episode, she also is currently in a deal to develop TV shows with Disney's Onyx Collective, and in her spare time, she participates in philanthropy through Angelinos for LA, Right Girl, and Step Up Los Angeles. And she even teaches cooking classes.
Yes!
So I can't wait till we find out what she likes to make for brunch at the end of the episode when we ask our signature Sista Brunch question. And with that, welcome to Sista Brunch, Erika Green Swafford.
Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome, Erika.
I feel so welcomed.
Yay.
I'm here. I'm in the room with the women. Yes.
Yes.
We're here.
So, we're going to go a little off script here because in the green room before we started, we heard that Shawn and Erika go way back.
Yeah.
So now we got to hear what's the haps. How long have you two known each other?
We are Purple Pups.
Purple pup power, baby.
Yes, we went to Lanier Middle School in Houston,
In
Texas
Houston,
together.
Texas.
What?
We
No.
played basketball
We were on
together.
basket. We balled together.
Yes. So we've known each other since middle school. Now I'm not gonna say what year, but
Listen,
we went to middle
gotta be
school.
proud. We gotta be proud.
Listen. We
Wait,
here.
Did you all two know that you wanted to be in entertainment, like all the way back then?
No.
No,
Oh my gosh. Oh
no,
my gosh.
No idea what
mm-mm,
I was doing up
no.
to back
I love
then.
it. I love it. Well, that's a perfect way to start because we like to ask our guests to share their journey, and
Mhm.
I love Miss Green Swafford has a really interesting journey because I should have realized she didn't start off wanting to be in entertainment. She's done hotel stuff. Obviously, we learned in the intro she's a cook. She know how to. She's a chef. So take us as far back as you want to. Could be
Right.
it could be your birth, could be your great grandparents, or
Mhm.
as far back
I'm
as you
like,
want to, and
the
tell us.
year is 1572, and
If we need to.
right
Although that wasn't a good
on
time
the
for
shores
us.
of Africa, my
Exactly.
people. Right now,
Yes, yes, yes.
yeah, I'm a nerd. I always wanted to do something creative. I just didn't know what it looked like when I was younger.
Mm,
So when I
mm.
was a kid, I was going to be a chef. I was going to be like Julia Child, but with like an afro or like something else. But I was obsessed with Julia Child. I loved to do chef work. I was a cook at home. My parents worked a long, set of hours, and so responsibility for making sure the chicken got in the oven, that kind of a thing.
Mm.
But then on like weekends, I would sit there and watch Saturday morning cartoons, which I guess dates us as people born in the 1900s, I guess. And after cartoons went off, and after Soul Train went off, and after the Kung Fu movie went off, I would switch over to PBS and I would watch The French Chef. And I would sit there with like a little notepad and I would dutifully write down recipes and proceed to like murder things in my mother's kitchen. So that was like a big thing for me when I was starting at 7 years old. I was
Wow.
cooking a lot. And just, being a normal rambunctious kid who loved music and dance. I had vague notions of wanting to be a superstar. I didn't know what that meant. But so I was a big theater arts nerd when I got into high school,
Mm.
and did a lot of musical theater, singing, dancing. I was like, maybe I'm supposed to be on Broadway.
Ooh.
But I'm type A. I'm a firstborn. So I needed something solid. And for me, that meant going to
Mm.
college. I went to the hotel school at Cornell University. And
Wait.
yeah,
But you went from musical. But what? Why? What? How?
because I thought that musical theater was not stable.
Okay. Okay. But how did you know about hotel
I
school? Because
didn't.
even I.
So they came and they did a thing on my campus when I was
Okay.
in high school,
Interesting. Interesting.
because I was
Okay.
like, well, I would like to try and go to like a cool school. I was like, maybe I'll go to Yale. I just threw a thing out there. I didn't know. My parents had gone to
Okay.
Howard, and I was like, sure, Howard, sure. I got to get
Mm-hmm.
out of the state of Texas, as my mother told me.
Mm-hmm.
And they came, Cornell came, and they were like, yeah, we've got these different colleges within the university. One of them is a hotel school. And I was like, what? There's a hotel school? After watching James Rowland and Connie Selica and Sherry Belafonte Harper on television, it just seemed so glamorous and so exciting to me. So I applied sight unseen.
Erica, you're dating us, by the
Okay,
way. I just
sorry.
want to make
It's
sure you're
fine.
you're
It's fine.
It's
We gotta be.
fine.
I mean, look at all the stuff we named just at the beginning and everything she's done.
Right.
I mean, there's only so much a human being can do.
It's
We get
expansive. Life is
the years
expansive.
happen. Life
Year
is expansive.
year is a concept. It's a concept.
Exactly.
Hi, this is Black Girls Film Camp alum and Fanshen's niece, Jaida Cox, and you're listening to the Sista Brunch podcast. You can support Sista Brunch by following and interacting on Instagram at Sista Brunch Podcast and by leaving a review on Apple or Spotify. You can watch the full video episodes on youtube.com/Trujulo Media. That's TRUJULO Media. And you can watch the highlights on TikTok at Trujulo Media.
And I was like, well, yeah, let's just go. Let's do it. And went to the hotel school, had a fun time. I did track as well. I was a big sports person as well as theater arts person. I was busy. I did a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I graduated, went into the hospitality industry, and was promptly bored out of my skull.
Okay.
Uh, I,
Okay.
I was working front office. I was working in sales. I did all the things that you're supposed to do as you were supposed to move up the ranks to become a general manager. And to fulfill myself at night, I started taking writing classes at Georgetown. At this point, I
Uh-huh.
was in DC. And I
Okay.
took a little writing class while I was at Georgetown. I did comedy improv at night. And I realized that I was working in order to get to those moments in my life of
Mm.
writing, performing.
Right. In order to be able to have that kind of fun and
Yeah,
freedom and that improv gives you.
exactly. So I was like,
Mm.
a life with support hose, or should I try something else? And so that's when I was like, well, let me see if I can go somewhere. So I tried out for Rent, the traveling company of Rent.
Wow.
They said no,
Yes.
to their detriment, which is fine.
Of course. I know they
And
are
then I,
crying about that now.
right. And then I applied
Can
to
I
grad
just say
schools.
I'm
Yeah.
so sorry
Oh.
because you're such a perfect guest for me with Jaida here because Jaida does a lot of things too. She does volleyball, she does palms, she does
Mhm.
right and while some girls her age might be like I'm a filmmaker and that's all they do, it's
Mm.
also like when you get all of that life experience, you do a lot of different things. That feeds your storytelling skills, right? You're creative of
Completely.
it once you start. So anyway,
Yeah.
this is why I was so glad that it worked out that
I'm
you two were
glad.
on
Yeah.
together.
Especially
And
because what I did not know what I know now, but I'm glad I didn't know and I just kept going. It
Mm,
was super
mm.
exciting and scary because at every turn, I thought I had it figured out. And then life had a way of going, no, not so much.
You
Try
don't
this
have it
out.
figured out.
Yeah. And so I applied to
Mm,
grad schools because I was like, well, you can't do things in DC like I thought. Applied to NYU and applied to USC. They deferred, they rejected me and said, try again. And so then I was like, well, let me just apply to another grad school because I need a cover story to leave. And I got accepted to UCLA to their MBA program.
nice.
And I was
Oh
like, I'm
wow.
going to turn this MBA into a business of entertainment degree for myself.
Brilliant.
And
Brilliant.
went out,
Yes.
got that, worked my summers at CBS during the highlights of daytime programming. So I was doing a lot of stuff as an intern there, worked at Sony during the disc era. So a lot of like value adds that we were adding on to different DVD specials and things like that.
Mm,
And then slowly but surely turned myself into a person in the entertainment industry. With
mm.
Oxygen was my first job as an assistant,
Yes.
and
Could
Do you
yeah,
want
you
to tell
expand?
us? Oh,
yeah.
Go ahead, Shawn.
Yeah,
Yep.
Erica, would you like to tell people what oxygen is besides the element that we breathe?
Yes. Oh, sorry,
What?
sorry.
It's no longer here too.
Right.
And then also since we're going back a little bit, you said slowly, but that's that transition
Hmm.
piece that I think is worthwhile us
Oh,
understanding.
sure.
Was it relationship? How did you
Okay,
get to
so
that?
here's the deal. Entertainment is a relationship industry. It's who you know.
Amen.
And I didn't know
Yes.
anybody, even when I came out to Los
Right.
Angeles. But what I did start to understand was what I did not want to do when I saw
Mm,
it. Because I had
okay.
some vague notion of wanting to be in production. And I didn't know what that meant, but it just sounded like a fun thing to say. And then I
Mm,
saw what production meant. And I was like, I don't know if I want to be an associate producer. I don't know if I want to be a UPM, you know?
okay. Okay.
Um, but I just kept meeting people and doing a lot of informational interviews. I was like, hey,
Yes.
open up your Rolodex, because I'm 1,000 years old. Who else do you think I should be talking to who I don't want a
Yeah.
job from, but I just want to like find out what they do? And so I just kept talking to
Smart.
people, talking to people. My first opportunity came from a classmate in business school who was doing her, we could go away during our program. So she did a semester,
Mm.
quarter abroad. I did a quarter abroad in France. She went to Japan, and she was working at Sony Japan and met a gentleman who was coming back to the United States to start the comedy arena for Oxygen. At that point in time, it was
Okay.
just a online community. It wasn't even a cable network at that point in time,
Right.
and they were
Okay.
turning
And
it into a
mhm.
cable network.
And it was women. It
And it was
was
for
for
women,
women, right?
right?
Was it for what? May I ask? Was it for Black women
It
or
was
was it
for women.
okay?
Here's the
All
deal.
women.
It had, Oprah was involved. Um,
Yes. Right. Okay. I
Parsi Warner
thought so. Yeah.
Mandaback was involved. It had
Okay.
heavy hitters.
Mhm.
Geraldine
Mhm.
Laybourne was the driving force, obviously, at the forefront, who had come over from Nickelodeon.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
I will ascribe it to members of second wave feminism.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so that
Helpful.
group of
Got it.
people, and
Yeah.
women with a Y as opposed to an EN,
Uh-huh.
and vague
Yes.
notions of what they thought a woman would want to watch on television.
Mm. Mm.
And a lot of it was not what women wanted to watch on television.
Mm.
Because
Right.
you just have to throw a lot of spaghetti up against the wall.
Yep.
And in the early days, I was an assistant. I was a script coordinator on one of their comedy shows, and yeah, they were just throwing a lot of stuff up against the wall. Some of the talk shows worked, some of the scripted stuff did and did not work. A lot of it
Mm.
kind of fell a little flat, and a lot of it went away pretty quickly. But as a newly minted MBA, it was a fascinating case study to see the birth of a network.
Yes.
Like, I was there
Yes.
when they were still borrowing space from Carsey Warner Mandaback. They had not even gotten sound
Mm.
stages or a studio or any of those things.
Wow. Wow.
Um,
Yeah.
and to be able to see how they tried to sort of craft things, like Tasha Smith, for example, had a program over there. Um, they tried a lot of things, but they didn't give much money
Mhm.
to a lot of stuff, and you
Mm.
know.
Mm.
Then they realized that in order to be stable, they needed acquisitions of older product. And so, Oprah After the Show, for example, became a thing that she gave to them so that they could have ballast. All of those Carsey
Yes.
Warner
Yes.
Mandaback shows, so Roseanne, started
Okay.
airing,
Okay.
and acquisitions. I at that point, when all of the production in Los Angeles kind of disappeared and they got rid of the sound stages, I was desperate for a job, and Elizabeth Cullen, who was kind of laboring her way by herself in a corner, doing small acquisitions for them, small little short documentaries and things like that, suddenly found herself having to buy whole movie blocks and television series
Wow.
and put finishing
Yes.
funds into Absolutely Fabulous and do all these other things by herself.
Okay.
And so she pulled me in as her assistant. And then I pulled
Yes.
up and turned into
Yes.
a television executive underneath her at Oxygen.
Wow. Yes. So
And
Wow.
I just need to point out that you had your MBA, and some of my mentees, sometimes when they come out of school, it breaks my heart that like they got to go to the
oh
mailroom,
yeah.
right? There's a piece of me that's like, bump that, you belong, you're so good, you should be executive,
Mhm.
but you had it, but so you started as a script coordinator,
Right.
even though you had your
Mhm.
MBA, but you did it,
I
right?
did
And
it.
then you
Yeah.
did it well, such that when somebody saw that you worked with saw that you did that so well, you were able to kind of keep
Yeah.
going,
So
right?
she pulled me up. And behind her,
Amazing.
we were going to film festivals and we were looking for product. And
Yes.
so I got a very different angle on the industry, reading scripts for finishing funds and
Mm.
watching things that just needed extra money to do finishing on documentaries and television series. So it was development by a different name in
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. Right.
And at
Right.
night, I was writing and performing.
Yes.
And that's how
Yes.
slowly but surely over 7 years. So I was working at Oxygen for 7 years. At night, I was doing storytelling, going and doing one woman shows, doing that kind of stuff.
That's when we
Yeah,
met
that's when I met you
doing Right
doing Right
Club.
Club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And what did you end up, what was your title when you left
I was a
Oxygen?
director.
Yes. Okay. Okay. And the TV and that's worthwhile
Hmm.
mentioning these kind of executive level
Hmm.
titles, right? Because and I'm so bad at this, and I should know it better. Is it what's the very first one? Well, there's
There's
assistant. Then is
assistant
it
coordinator.
coordinator?
Uh,
Director is just before VP,
right. Hmm.
basically. Is that
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So that's one of those when you get there, you're starting to talk about real money, which is something we're gonna ask you
Okay.
about to the extent that you're comfortable talking about.
Sure.
But sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. So now you're a director at
Mhm.
Oxygen, 7 years. What happens next?
I'm writing at night and
Yeah.
doing as much as I can in improv and storytelling. And I
Yes.
hear about a change over at the Warner Brothers Writers Workshop. Chris Mack was taking
Yeah.
over
Oh, yes.
at that point in
Yes.
time. And he was like, hey, if you know anybody, because I was a part of Color TV, which was television executives of color that got
Yes.
together. And he was
Yes.
just sort of making a general
Yes.
announcement. And I was like, I might be interested. And he's like, well, if you make it through the gauntlet, I'll see you in the next round. And
Hmm.
with that challenge, I wrote a script. At that point in time, they were looking for specs. Uh, I sent one
What
in.
was the script about? I know this episode can take
It's gonna take
forever because
forever.
there's so
Yeah,
many. I have so many questions for you, Erica. I'm like, yeah. What was it? Do you remember what that spec
yeah.
was?
I wrote an Ugly Betty.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ugly Betty, such a like iconic for so many reasons.
Hmm.
One, runaway production from LA. That was the first
Right.
one that left California because it
Hmm.
was cheaper, and that's why we implemented tax credits.
Yeah.
But all to say, also just Latina lead,
Hmm.
like that was such an important show.
Yeah.
America Ferrera,
America
right? That was
Ferrera.
her.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Okay.
loved it.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was the only
And
thing I knew.
LGBTQ, yeah, and
L-
LGBTQ plus friendly. I mean,
hmm.
we had a major
Yes.
star, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Such an
Mm-hmm.
important
It's
show.
very
Yeah.
important.
Okay.
And
Was.
it's something I knew. And I could sit there, and at that point in time I didn't have any writing software. I just used a legal pad to figure out the different act structure,
Wow.
and then came up with an idea and did one, and I got accepted into the program.
All right.
Yes.
And so you were in the Warner Brothers Writers,
Hmm.
I guess,
Workshop.
workshop,
Yep.
right? And then you get out of that. Now, how did you get your first
Because of the Warner Brothers Writers
professional
Workshop.
title?
Yeah, it was because of the
Mm-hmm.
Chris Mack decided to make the classes smaller and really
Hmm.
focus on getting as many people as possible onto shows, because the whole conceit
Nice.
was, you give your time to this program, and then in turn you get to be a baby writer for a percentage of the cost, and then part of that money goes back into the writing program. And
Nice.
I happened to be his first year that the strike happened, and so I was there for the
So
Wow.
writer's strike of
Yes.
2007.
2007,
Seven,
2008,
right? Mm.
Right.
2007, 2008 writer
Right.
strike.
So I
Okay.
met all
Okay.
kinds of writers, Aaron Sorkin, people like that on the Warner Brothers lot, because no one had anything else to do, so they would come in and talk to us.
Wow.
And I was writing like
Aaron Sorkin.
I guess we
Wow.
gonna, I don't know if we're gonna get a job at all of this, but 50% of the class got staffed, and I got staffed on a show called The Mentalist.
All
Yes.
right.
Fun fact, I do have a little role on an episode of The Mentalist. When I read that, I was like, much maybe she helped me get that role. Yeah, I had a
You gotta tell me which episode.
I know I gotta look it up because I still get residual checks.
I do too.
I bet yours are way bigger than
That's
mine.
amazing. That's amazing.
You know yours are lovely. I think I get 10 cents at this point. That's amazing. I love that show. There's such a great
It was a
show.
great
Simon,
show.
what's his name?
Simon
Simon, the
Baker.
lead?
Yes.
Simon Baker.
Simon Baker,
Mhm.
good looking guy too.
Robin
Robin
It's been
Tunney,
fun to
Tunney.
write for.
Robin
Tunney?
Tunney.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so Mentalist, and now you're killing it. Like, and let's just say this is not a typical story. And you brilliant. Let's just say it. I know this is not typical. Some of us have to like grind for a long, long time. But here you knew what you were doing. You came out of the MBA program and you kept going,
Mhm.
right? You kept,
Just kept
especially when we're
going.
Black women. We
Yeah.
know. We gotta shine many, many times over. So,
Mhm.
all right, Mentalist. So then what happens?
Oh, well, I was there. He was like, Bruno, who had created Rome before The Mentalist. Okay, you should just sort
Okay,
of like
okay.
hang around, go on two seasons, get out of here. And I was like, all right, well, he's not Cockney, he's more polished, a British sort of Erika.
Nice.
And I was like, all right. But then I was like,
Oh, and Rome was a show on HBO,
on
right? I just want
HBO,
to
That's
make sure
right.
people.
Yes.
Rome on
All right.
Thank
HBO.
you, Shawn.
Thank you, Shawn.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Rome on
No
HBO.
problem. No problem.
But then I was like, but I've never seen money like this in my entire life. Why would I leave this?
Yes, right.
And so I stayed there for 5.5 seasons.
Yes.
And I'm
That's
lucky
amazing.
in that I stayed because at that point in the world, and it still happens, women and people of color were put into what I like to call the story editor ghetto.
Yes. Can we talk
Wait,
about this a little
yes,
bit?
please. Yeah,
Yeah.
what that
Yeah, because
yeah.
it starts out like what you were just talking about. You were a writer, staff writer,
Mhm.
and then the next logical step is story editor. Is
Right.
that usually how it goes?
Story
And
editor.
then after that, is it co-EP
It's executive story
or
editor,
executive story editor,
then
Okay.
co-producer,
and then
then
co-producer,
producer,
Then
then
producer. Okay.
then
producer,
supervising producer,
then
and then
supervising
That's
co-executive
how
producer,
they do.
producer.
Good Lord.
co-executive producer.
Right.
But when
Mm.
it's your show, when you're developing,
Hmm.
you are called
Executive producer,
and
showrunner,
Showrunner.
showrunner.
Yeah.
showrunner.
There we go.
When you okay, got it.
Right. So,
Got it.
but you know, what they would do is if you'd gone from show to show, I knew a lot of friends, people who came up with me at the same time. If they were not on a show that went for more than a season or two, then they would move to another show, and then a showrunner would go, "Oh, well, I could take you on as a staff writer, even though you have 3 years of experience."
Oh, so just keep you right where you
And
are.
they would just keep throwing people back and back and back. And so it took them forever to move up the ranks. I
Mm-hmm.
was stationary. So by the time I left, I was in a position as a producer. So you cannot take producer away from a person once they get to producer level. There's no, hey, we're going to turn you into, you're not.
Okay.
And then I was a
Okay.
supervising producer when I got to How to Get Away with Murder.
Nice.
Okay,
Wow.
nice.
Yeah.
Siblings, we hope you're loving our guests this season as much as we do. And if you do, we hope you'll share our podcast with a friend by hitting the share button on this episode. You can also subscribe to the Trujillo Media YouTube channel to see all of our previous episodes. And by subscribing, you'll never miss an episode. And when you review us on Apple or Spotify, tell us what you loved about our guests or tell us what you'd like to hear more of. All right, let's return to our guest, Erika Green Swafford. I would love to move into a segment we call financials.
Yes.
Oh, look
And
at you, Shawn. Yes.
Now this
Yes.
is something, it's a little sensitive,
Sure.
but we're hoping you are open and willing to talk about this, because this is one of the things that's like we know about budgets, how features and television shows, like how much the budgets are,
Right.
but audiences don't know, or people that want to get in this industry don't really know what the salaries, how much money a lot of these people that are creating some of their favorite
Sure.
projects
Mhm.
are. So could you tell us, like, a baby writer, right?
Yeah.
Usually, like, that's how someone comes in. So ballpark, how much, like, right now, a baby
Oh,
writer
okay.
is
So
getting?
it's
Just ballpark if
changed.
you can.
I'm going to talk
Oh
about how
man.
when I came in.
Okay,
Yeah,
great,
great.
Okay.
great.
That's
So when I
fine. Yeah.
came
Yeah.
in, you did not get paid for your scripts. So I did not get a script fee. That's a new thing that we just earned
One in this
in this
last
last in
strike.
this last strike.
Okay.
Negotiations.
Okay.
Negotiation. But what you do get paid for are residuals. So I
Okay.
believe at that point in time when I came in 1,000 years ago, the script fee was like $27,000 per script.
Okay.
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 And then you get
But
Mhm.
sorry, Erica, and I'm so sorry because I'm definitely more film oriented.
Sure.
When you say that, are you saying that's like the lead writer? And then, but what about, I mean,
The
who's
writer
getting
of
that
record.
27?
So if it says written by,
Oh,
That
Okay.
That's the person who gets the
right. And so if
27K
it's two
at
people
the
on
time.
there, it's split between those two people or
Got it.
whatever, right?
Okay.
We'll get into dirty secrets
Okay.
in a minute. But just to get
Yes.
you to start it off, I think it was like 27.5 or something. Now, if you do repeats on network television, ABC, CBS, NBC, then you'll get residual checks
Right.
starting
Right.
at
Right.
about 80% of that cost. So you
Nice.
would get
Okay.
like about $22,000 for that first
For
check.
doing nothing. For just
And
that
then if they
first.
do
Yeah.
more
Okay.
repeats in Prime, they continually
Each
give you
time.
that. So in that first season, just to
Nice.
give you an example of me on The Mentalist, I had 3 scripts the first season. There are only 7
Yes.
writers. I did not get the script fee, but I did because it was a CBS show, and CBS was notorious at that time for playing reruns. They reran my 3 episodes 2 times. So 6 residual
Ooh.
checks for me
Nice.
in that first
Yes.
season of
Okay.
television.
Nice. Nice.
So
Wow. I know you were like,
Wow.
I got it,
I was
man.
So Eric,
yeah,
so Erica, as a baby writer on The Mentalist,
yeah,
so you're saying your name was actually on, like, written by
on
Erika
those
Green
on
Swafford.
on 3
So
scripts.
you only get paid, like, in the writer's room, if
No,
you
that's on
get.
top of
Okay,
my
see, that's what I'm.
weekly.
Okay.
Okay.
You
Okay.
get paid
Okay.
on a weekly basis. That was on
Okay.
top of my weekly. Remember, my weekly in my first part of
Okay.
my year was reduced because some of that money was going to the Warner Brothers program.
So how much did a
Uh-huh.
first
Uh-huh.
time, like a first year
So, like
writer on a
on
network
a
show,
network
make?
show, a first
Yeah.
time writer,
Weekly.
weekly,
Mm-hmm.
at that point in time, I want to say like $7,000 a week.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So they get that, and then if you also are written by, then you also get that script fee.
Right.
Got
So
you.
anywhere between
And
seven and
at
ten
that
thousand.
time
Sorry,
too.
$7,000 and $10,000. I would say that it would be the
Okay.
range.
And the
Okay.
residuals, are you the only one with the written by, or the only one that gets the residuals for
Gets
that
the
show? It's not shared with the
Okay.
whole
Oh no
writer's
no no
room?
Okay.
no 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 no.
Okay.
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 The
All
way it's
right.
broken down is if you like, so Bruno, for example, had points on the deal. So each episode, if you sell, how they tried to get shows to 100 episodes and then you could sell it into,
Mm-hmm.
other markets and things like that. He had all the
Mhm.
points on the deal. So 10% of every episode went directly to him.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey,
So when they
yes.
Because he
sold
They're
it,
created
making
the
a
because
show.
he
killing.
created the
Yes.
show. So like,
Because he
think
shit.
about
He's a
Friends,
showrunner,
right? So
right?
think about
Mm-hmm.
Friends. They made good, stupid money during its run, but they made ridiculous money because they
Faster.
sold it to
All the
TNT. They
places it
sold it
went.
to TBS.
Yes.
And so if you think about it, if Friends was selling for, I don't know, $250,000 an episode in aftermarket, that means that the people who created the show were taking $25,000 off of every episode that was sold into the aftermarket. Okay.
Yeah. We so that this is not a 3-hour episode,
Sorry,
even though for
yeah,
real.
sorry, but
No,
yeah,
no, it's not on you. It's me because I have a follow-up financial question,
sure.
even though that was Shawn led into that perfectly.
Uh-huh.
And I just because now you are in a deal,
Yes.
right? And talk about, my goodness, your
Overall deals.
trajectory into
Hmm.
getting. So now you've got an overall deal with Hulu Onyx, and Onyx is the black folk
Hmm.
for Hulu, right?
Right.
Like the kind of that they're
Well, people of
creating.
color, we're going to be
Is it
expansive.
people of color?
Yeah, because they've given deals to
Good.
people who are not African American or
Nice.
African of
Okay.
descent. Yes.
Let's name a couple shows that are like Reasonable Doubt as an example,
Reasonable's
right?
out.
Right now.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Unprisoned, which
Unprisoned,
just got
for
canceled.
Unprisoned.
example.
Just got canceled.
No.
It's good. I
Yes.
like the second
Oh,
season. I thought the second season was very strong.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
Black
so
Cake.
how
Black
did
Cake was
right.
Onyx,
Black,
right? Black
no,
Cake.
well, no, that was, well,
That
yes.
wasn't
No,
Onyx.
was
I
it?
thought.
No, that was not. That was Hulu, but it was not on Onyx.
Oh, okay.
How to
Okay.
Die Alone. Uh,
okay.
Natasha's show
Hmm.
just started.
Oh, yes.
Um,
Oh yes, Natasha Rothwell.
right.
Yes,
The
that's
the
exciting.
British show Queenie.
Oh,
Oh,
yes. Oh, I
another
Yes,
love
one.
that.
Okay.
that was
Love
a
that
Really?
show.
that
Really?
was a
Okay.
co-production. Yeah, I believe.
Was Kindred, but Kindred was a limited
Kindred
series.
was
Look, see,
FX.
this is Ooh, okay.
But it was
Oh,
shown.
We'll
FX.
edit
Yeah,
that out.
Okay.
but it was on Hulu,
On
but
Hulu.
not on
Okay.
Onyx.
Okay. So ballpark, if you're comfortable, overall deal. Because we've had Kelly Edwards on here. She
Mhm.
got an overall with HBO when she
Right.
left. So whatever you're comfortable with, what does that look like? And then also, what does it mean? Does it mean like it's like a grant, like you get that money and then you just making stuff all the time? And how much do they have say in
They
terms
have
of what
all
you
to
make?
say.
Like, what is that? Okay,
Okay, so I am going to give you a range. I'm not going to tell
no
you where
problem.
I am, but
Absolute, as you
you
should.
can you can bank on an overall deal of any substance in the streaming era to be mid six figures to people in the
Yes,
7 to 8
yes,
figures.
yes.
Okay.
You need to be. Are the black women getting in that 7 to 8
Well, if your name
figures?
is Shonda
I mean,
Rhimes, then
Shonda.
sure. Yes.
Besides
Yeah.
Shonda, besides
Besides
Shonda
Shonda.
Rhimes.
Right.
Right,
But
right. Okay,
but
okay.
yeah, I
But that's
but if
beautiful.
you're
That's
not if
beautiful to
you're yeah,
know.
it is decidedly mid six figures and up. You're not.
Great. That's good. Okay.
And in terms of lower level writers today, because the market is so different, they are not making as much money,
Right.
even with the
Yes.
Right.
protections that we have. So
Is there a time, like a deal, are there people that have unlimited deals that like as long as you keep, or is it like, are these overall deals put with a time limit?
they
Like
are time
you have to,
Yeah.
limits. You can have a 1 year.
okay.
I am right now. I'm in a 3 year overall deal.
Nice.
What
Um,
year of your
I'm at,
3 year deal?
at year 2 1/4.
Okay.
Jada's going to take us into our next segment, which is
Mhm.
called Let's Talk Tech.
Okay.
So in Black Girls Film Camp, not only do they lean into us and pour into us emotionally, but they definitely helped us out with a lot of our technical terms and learning different things about camera and all of that. And they really emphasize the importance of the difference between pre-production, production, and post-production. So I know I was really intrigued by post-production and learning about coloring and color theory and all of that. So in Full Circle, there's a lot of nuggets in costuming and all of that with color and the way that it was edited. And the
Nice.
same in The Gift and the Curse, which was my alumni coaching movie. So I was wondering for you,
Jada,
especially.
I'm so sorry. Now I got to ask. Tell us one example of that where like you thought about the costume color and maybe if you didn't know that you wouldn't see it, but it has an
Mhm.
effect on the viewer.
So in Full Circle, one big thing that continued to show up in a symbol was shoes. So my main character, A. Marie, was being bullied by another girl who wore a lot of Jordans,
Mhm.
and A. Marie wore Converses. And so
Mm.
the bully wore orange Jordans,
Mhm.
which kind of stood out more and were a dominating color. They were like an orangish red.
Yeah.
And so they were a dominating color over A. Marie's white Converses, which represented her
Mm.
innocence. And then
Mm.
as she continued to get bullied, she bought herself a pair of Jordans, but hers, even though they looked similar to the bullies, were purple.
Mm.
And for me, that represented that she still did have that deep emotion in her and she still had depth to her, even though she was kind of being shallow by trying to just be somebody else.
Mm.
So
Mm.
that was
Love it.
definitely big for me.
Thank you,
And
Jay.
that
That's awesome.
yeah, and so I made sure to communicate with my editor, and she definitely worked on coloring as well afterwards and did what she could to emphasize that.
Mm.
So I was wondering, being such a big part of pre production and script writing, for you, what is like a staple in a really good episode or a really good movie when writing? Like, what is something that you have to include? And feel free to use technical terms because we love learning
Okay.
things here.
I'm
Yes.
sure you've heard this. Have you heard the term callback?
Yes.
Okay. So you emphasized it with your J's and the transition of your different characters. And so if you can have a touch point in any story, uh, I'm going to give you the example of Back to the Future, the movie. Okay.
Mhm.
So there are certain things that you continually see over and over again in a film. Sometimes
Mm.
they are the exact same thing, or they are altered. And in the case of Back to the Future, when you go from seeing it in the past to the future, the explanation of the location changes if you're paying attention. So what I love is when people make references to things that they have already given you a full story of. Callbacks. I do it in storytelling as well. Callbacks are
Can you
very
give us an
important to me.
example?
Yes.
Like if we watch an episode that you've written and then we can see.
I would say it wasn't necessarily a callback, but it was a personal moment. And it happened
Okay.
between Cicely Tyson and Viola Davis in How to Get Away with
I mean,
Murder.
hold on. Our guest on Sista Brunch just said that she wrote a scene or many scenes, a whole script with Cicely Tyson.
Miss Cicely Tyson, yes. May she rest in peace. Continue.
Yes. I'm sorry. Okay, please
Viola
continue. But
Davis.
And Miss Viola Davis.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I will try.
Okay, so when she's sitting between her legs and she's scratching up her scalp, that was directly from my experience, and that was a love letter to my mother. So that's something my mom knew, and everybody's mother who has done something in their child's hair. But I was like, that is specifically for my mother to see. And I cried multiple times on set, and Miss Tyson was like, "Girl, if you don't stop crying," because it was a lot for me to process that moment and to see, thespian titans do something like that with my
I
words.
love how your example is also that a callback can be even just a personal thing that you also know. Every Black woman knows what it's like to sit and have their hair done by, hopefully, I hope for every Black woman and Black girl to have that, have their hair done. So even those personal ones that you know is also going to be universal for that audience. Oh, I love it. I love
And
it.
that's a beautiful scene. I know. I mean, it was so intimate, and it really does. And Black women, there's something more that they get out of that scene than what most other communities watching that show.
Right.
Can you tell us season and episode? No, Tasha, don't come on and tell us to be quiet. She is. She gonna do like
She's
gonna
like,
do
y'all.
two, and we're getting there. We're getting 5 minutes. We got 5 minutes.
Okay, we're gonna go really fast. We're gonna say nothing else.
Okay, we won't. But wait, could you season and episode of that one so we
It's
can all go watch
probably
it?
season 2 or like season 2.
Okay. We'll find it and make sure. Okay, I think it is time for our signature Sista Brunch question, which Jaida will also lead us into.
So, Sista Brunch's signature question is: imagine you are sitting down to a Sista Brunch with your younger self. What are you both eating? What are you both drinking? And what are you going to tell her?
Okay. We're probably sitting and having Negronis. Or I'm going to knock it out of her hand and be like, stop drinking so many sweets. We are eating, let's see, lemon ricotta pancakes with crispy edges, for sure.
Ooh.
Homemade. We take it. You
for
chef.
sure, darling. Come on. Are we doing otherwise? Probably like grilled salmon. That I put on like a green egg or something like that. Like a beautiful custardy.
Wait, what's a green egg?
The green egg is the the ceramic.
Oh,
grill,
the smoker. The
ceramic smoker. Creamy eggs with chives that have been stirred into like a porridge of some sort of like spicy andouille sausage or kicker on the side.
Yes, please.
Yeah. And what I'm telling her is to don't block your blessings and to get out of your own way. Just continue to say yes, kiddo.
Yes. Get out of your own way is such great advice.
Yeah.
So many of us, yes.
So get in our own way.
Yeah.
Erika Green Swafford.
Purple
You're
Belt
on Sista
Power.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being with us today,
Of
for
course.
sharing your wisdom,
Yes.
your inspiration, your journey. It matters. And you being here with my niece.
I know.
Oh,
And we
thank
look
you.
forward to seeing what comes out of your deal.
Me too.
And y'all and everybody remember to help with that passive income. Watch How to Get Away with Murder. Watch The Mentalist.
That's right.
Watch
New Amsterdam is
and
on.
New Amsterdam.
New Amsterdam.
That's on
Reverie. All the
Reverie.
things we
bless
said
his
at the
heart.
top.
Yes, honey. It's, you
Yes.
can find things on
Watch.
Netflix. On Netflix,
Yes.
on
Netflix.
Peacock,
And every time we
Disney,
do, just say
Disney.
you're
Disney
welcome,
Plus.
Ms. Erika
Hey.
Green Swafford.
Yes.
Yes.
Disney Plus. Yes, yes, yes.
Don't
Thank you
steal
so
those
much.
things. Pay the
Pay somebody.
subscription fee
Watch.
because we see this is where it's going.
Right?
This is where it's going. That's
My
important.
my old age home. Y'all need to help me out.
We love it. Thank you. Thank you so much for being
Thank
on.
you for blessing us.
Of
Thank
course.
you.
We so appreciate your follows on Instagram at Sista Brunch Podcast, where you can also find your community of Black women and gender expansive people. We post different industry opportunities and keep you updated on past guests. Watch, comment, share, and subscribe to our videos on youtube.com/TrueJalo and we are also on TikTok at TrueJalo Media.
Sista Brunch is brought to you by Trujillo Productions and was created by Anya Adams, Christabel and Sia Boadi, and Fanshen Cox.
Our producer for season 6 is Tasha Rogers. Sista Brunch is recorded on the unceded territory of the Tongva and the Chumash people in Los Angeles, California.
Thank you so much for listening, following, reviewing, subscribing, and sharing, and we will talk to you next week.